All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for real people just like you, just like me. So, another band is about to drop an amazing album, and nobody really cares, right? Here in the United States, you'll see little blurbs on websites and radio stations that feature classic rock music. They'll have a little headline like, Supergroup to release album June 17th called Second Skin. That's the name of this new album by this group called Iconic. Because guess what? The musicians are iconic, much like the band Skills, right? They have a lot of skills in skills. Iconic features Michael Sweet, Joel Hoekstra, Marco Mendoza, Tommy Aldridge, and Nathan James. Holy crap, Batman. That's a double HCB right there. So in case you didn't hear about Iconic, they're a new band, and Frontiers Music. Sorry, people, they just keep doing this. And I know there are a lot of people that think everything on Frontiers sounds the same. Au contraire. Not on this effort and not on most of what they do. Joel Hoekstra from Whitesnake, Marco Mendoza, most recently spent some time with Journey, so ex-Journey bass player. Tommy Aldridge, who's worked with Whitesnake and Ozzy and Gary Moore, and the amazing Nathan James, who's been part of the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, also has a really interesting band called Inglorious, which I'm sure American audiences aren't familiar with, but this guy can sing, right? And you got Michael Sweet who can sing. So this is a pretty cool project. Everybody had a part in this. Nobody basically, didn't have input on this. And they've got 2 songs out there. Now, I know there are a lot of people, quite frankly, that just aren't into new stuff. I talk to them on Patreon all the time. And by the way, if you want to sign up for Patreon, it's $1 a month, $2 a month. I'm getting a ton of messages, by the way. I just want to tell folks that I'm not always able to answer messages right away. Because I get busy doing other things, or I go somewhere for a few hours and then boom, I come back and then there's a whole bunch of messages. So it's a good problem to have. I'm not complaining. I'm just letting people know that sometimes it takes me a while to get to those messages. Anyway, the band Iconic has released 2 songs, and the first single already has 300,000 views with no radio airplay here in the United States. The song is called Nowhere to Run. It's an interesting concept right now, isn't it? Nowhere to run. Here comes the NWO, so there's nowhere to go. It's a great song. And then the second single is called Fast As You Can. That was released 3 days ago. These are full-blown videos that you can watch too over on YouTube. So not only do you get the great music, but you get the great video presentation. And look, I do kind of feel like a voice in the wilderness. There are other people that will do like a reaction to the song. They'll play the song. I tell you to go and listen to it. Just go and listen to it and decide for yourself what you think. And the song reactions are fine, but that's typically not, I've never done that kind of thing. And I can tell you, based on these first 2 songs, that this album is going to be fantastic. Now, what's interesting is that American radio station websites, which take most of their news information from 2 or 3 well-known so-called classic rock sites, will occasionally feature a headline like Supergroup with members of Whitesnake, Journey, Striper, yada, yada, yada. And you should check this out, but we're not going to play it. They don't say that. I'm just adding it. We're not going to play Iconic. What? That would be too hard on our fans. Look, I understand that people are definitely at a certain age less likely to pursue the new stuff. They get tired of it, and they're not having that experience that they had growing up where the song was beat into the ground on either a rock station or a top 40 station. And they don't have that experience now, which is a shame. There are stations that are on the internet that do this kind of thing. However, again, it's a little difficult in your car driving down the road when you want to just use your FM radio. And you're not getting help from these nationally syndicated rock programs. And I'm not going to mention any names, although I have mentioned his name before. And the reason I look, he gets paid to cover certain things. And apparently he thinks, and they think corporately, that people don't care about a band like Iconic. And Iconic isn't a real band. It's just a project band. I hear this all the time. So if they became really popular and they sold, like, say they sold 1 million copies of their new album, it's called Second Skin, coming out in June. Say they sold 1 million copies. Do you think they might get together and tour and go around and play their music live? I think so, because that was the formula in the old days. Although you did have bands that would play live before they would record an album, they would hook up with some tour. I mean, this is a band, quite honestly, that could be part of the stadium tour, right? They could be opening for Joan Jett. You know, here's Iconic. They're going to blow you off the stage, right? Because they've got a singer, they got 2 singers, but Nathan James alone, I'm thinking of everybody who's going to be on that stage, even Joe Elliott. And I'm thinking, yeah, Nathan James. He's right now, I mean, he's a bit younger too, so he's going to be able to bring it. And people would be like, whoa, who's this guy? But you do need radio airplay, and you're not getting it. And these 2 songs are excellent. And it's the kind of music that would fit in nicely with all of the old stuff that you're familiar with. And here's the way I would do this, right? If I were programming a radio station, just like in the old days, you have your recurrent music, the stuff that came out, you know, years ago. In this case, it would be very recurrent, you know. The old way of doing recurrence, where they were songs that came out like a year ago and you'd put them in. But now, because there's been a 30-year gap, you basically play the stuff that people are familiar with, and you add some album stuff that isn't getting played anymore. You add back some of the stuff that they took out, and then I would say do 2 or 3 new songs an hour. Be gentle. It's not like you got to do a new song every other song. But you could be playing, I mean, the stuff that's out there right now, I mean, you got Jeff Scott Soto with a new album. You got my friend August Zadra. He's got an album out there, which I've been talking about. You've got Skills, which I talked about. You got this band called Lelu, for fans of like Yes and Kansas and the progressive end of things, which would be a really nice break from just the straight up melodic rock stuff, which again is amazing. And then you've got Iconic, and they are just a tremendous band. And I'm just wondering, you know, I do feel a little bit lonely doing this. I know other people are on YouTube and on other platforms talking about this, writing articles, writing reviews. But this stuff, people, it's like you could feel the window or the door, whatever, closing, you know, and you keep putting it out there. And quite honestly, this record label and what they've been doing over the past, I don't know, I would say since about 2015, 2016, they have been putting out some really amazing stuff. And at the end of the year, I typically have, I don't know, 90% of my purchases and my top 20 probably are going to be from the Frontiers music label, because they just keep throwing out these amazing quote unquote project bands, right? But Iconic is one of those bands that I think people should take a look at. And, you know, American radio is going to do what American radio is going to do until we break up the monopoly and allow independent radio stations to thrive and not be bought out and taken over and then homogenized to sound like everybody else, because that's what's been taking place. You know, the small mom and pop radio stations really don't exist anymore. And if they do, you know, they are surrounded by all of the corporate radio stations that have bigger budgets, that don't have live radio personalities for the most part, and who are as boring as watching paint dry. You know, it's just the way things are today. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. But here's the whole crux of this video. Go check out Iconic, okay? Go listen to them. Their album's called Second Skin. I think it's coming out June 17th. There are 2 singles out there. This is in a just iconic lineup. Sorry, couldn't even say the word. But this is why I think they called the band Iconic. Again, just to recap, Michael Sweet, Joel Hoekstra, Marco Mendoza, Tommy Aldridge, and Nathan James. Nathan James is just an insanely good singer, and you really need to listen to not only this, but check out his band Inglorious as well. That's Inglorious. All right, done with this video. Thanks for watching. Check out the music. Please also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that. And then Patreon for $1 a month if you'd like to support this channel. And I'll keep talking about this stuff too. So, you know, if you're connected to one of these artists and you want to continue to hear this kind of content, you know, the $1 a month is kind of a smart thing to do, because there aren't too many other people talking about all of these amazing bands that are just slipping right by, and half the population, like 95% of the population doesn't even know they exist. So it's just kind of sad.